All right, we are live in beautiful sunny Florida, and today, fight fans, we're going to be breaking down UFC 261, Usman versus Masvidal, the rematch, the talk of the town. Masvidal's got a full training camp this time. Let's see if it makes a difference. I have a feeling it probably won't. I mean, if anything, you can spin it the other way around and say, "Hey, Usman has more time to prepare for Masvidal specifically." As where beforehand he was training for Gilbert Burns, he found out he was fighting Masvidal 1 week in advance as well. So it's like I don't really buy into that narrative, but we'll get into that fight, guys. This pay-per-view is a very nicely stacked card. Like the main card is, it's bonkers. You got 3 title fights, even the 2 fights before that. Lionheart Smith versus Jimmy the Brute Crew, and Chris Weidman versus Uriah Hall. That's another rematch. I'm so excited for the review card. Well worth the $60-$70. Even like the middle prelims, like Randy Brown versus Cowboy Oliveira. That's a fantastic fight. Brendan Allen. You got Dwight Grant on the card. The return of Tristan Connolly. And then you got the early prelims where they kind of decided to make this the Asia card. Obviously, they can't just travel to Asia right now with everything going on. So stick some of their best prospects on this card to be in the undercard of Weili Zhang. So I mean, I absolutely see it. I mean, I had fun looking into some of these guys. They're not bad. I think they gave them favorable matches. We'll get into that though. But appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Excited to dig into this one. So I have actually have 4 bets. I have posted 3 so far on Twitter. I haven't revealed the 4th one yet. I'm gonna tell you guys that when we get to that fight. But without further ado, we're gonna get started right at the beginning of the card. We got Ariane Carnesoli taking on Na Liang. This is I mean, so we had Carnelosi. She's had one UFC fight so far. Making her debut against Angela Hill, that's a tall task. She was doing all right. She got finished, doctor stoppage. She's definitely strong. She hits hard. She's built. She could have gotten better in her time away. Now we got this other girl, Na Liang. Sorry, guys, I forgot to give you the odds on that one. So Carnelosi now minus 200. Some money's coming out on her. You can get Liang plus 170. I'm gonna go with Carnelosi. I just feel like I didn't look into this fight a whole lot. I just feel like Carnelosi, like her physicality, is gonna be a problem for this girl, and I'll say she wins a decision. So moving on to the next fight, we got Jeff Molina versus Quaylang Aori. This is a fight I'm interested in, and I wish there was more tape on Quaylang Aori because the guy's got how many fights does he have? He's 18-6, and I know there's fights out there that aren't even on his record. So this is a guy who has like probably 30 pro fights. Jeff Molina only has 10 pro fights, so it's like immediately it's interesting to me that you have a guy that has triple the fights of the other guys, got way more experience, and he's been in there with better competition as well. Quaylang Aori, he's been in a 3-round decision with Kai Kara France. Like the best guy Jeff Molina's fought is probably Jacob Silva, and to be honest, like I think pretty damn lowly of Jacob Silva. And like not only that, so I mean, let's talk about it. So this is Molina's UFC debut as well. He was a Contender Series guy. He beat Jacob Silva. He got taken down twice by Jacob Silva in that fight. Look at the numbers, he got outstruck by Jacob Silva. Jacob Silva, like, oh my goodness, like this guy's not good. So it was such a close fight. Like Jeff Molina made Jacob Silva look good enough to where they brought Jacob Silva back to the Contender Series, and he fought JP Bays, who we know to be by now is probably a fraud. JP Bays runs through him, and then Jacob Silva goes back to the regional scene, bounce back fight in LFA. No, he loses. He hasn't won a fight since fighting Jeff Molina. Jeff Molina, he's the more technical striker here. He's probably more technical everywhere, to be honest. Surprised if he caught a sub. His striking technique's a little better. But Quaylang Aori, so he's actually moving down to 125 pounds for the first time in his career, and he looks in amazing shape. I think he's going to be a beast at the weight class. And I kind of feel like he can out muscle Jeff Molina in the wrestling exchanges to where, I mean, Jacob Silva got out muscled by Jeff Molina, but like I said, I don't, that Jacob Silva guy's not that great. And Quay Lang, he's ripped, man. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I think either guy can land a takedown here, honestly, but I'd have to roll with Quay Lang. Like I know this is a pick 'em fight and it is a close fight, but I just feel like Quay Lang, he's more powerful on the feet too. So I feel like the more powerful strikes will be landed by him. I feel like he will end up winning those wrestling exchanges, but it could very well play out close. And like I said, didn't see as much tape as I wanted to on Aori, but I see most people picking Molina. I'm gonna roll the other way. I'm gonna say Quay Lang Aori comes out here. And another thing I want to say, man, I just have this gut feeling that these Chinese Mongolian fighters are about to show up in a big way on Saturday. I mean, they know it's a big night for them, and I kind of feel like other than the chick, not Wiley Zhang, obviously, La Niang, I feel like all of them, other than Carnavosi, is probably going to win. But we will see. It's a close fight. So to the next one, we got another one of these Chinese guys. We got Zhu Rong here. This guy's interesting. He's 17-3, 20 pro fights. He's only 21 years old. He's a minus 250 favorite. He's taking on Rodrigo Cazula Vargas. Man, I mean, we haven't seen Vargas in a while. I believe we haven't seen him since the old Brock Weaver fight where he actually was beating Brock Weaver and then he got himself DQ'd with an illegal knee. Like, yeah, he was beating Brock Weaver, but it's Brock Weaver. Like that guy got cut for a reason. I'm not impressed. Like, yeah, sure, you were winning that fight, but I don't know, man. There's nothing that really impresses me in Kazula Vargas's game. Like he's kind of older too, and man, I feel like Zhu Rong kind of pieces him up on the feet here. Could easily get takedowns as well. I just think he's a much better fighter. I feel like the odds are justified. I think he wins this fight about 70% of the time, but gonna go ahead and pass. You can't parlay this kid. I don't think so. Moving on, this is the first bet of the night for me. We got Dana Batgarel. He is taking on Kevin Natividad. Batgarel's getting steam, guys. He's all the way up to minus 200 in some books, minus 190 on mine. You can get Natividad plus 165. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I didn't think I would care about this fight in the slightest, but when I look into it, like I feel like it's a really good match. Batgarel. Natividad in his last fight against Miles Johns, like, yeah, I guess it was short notice, but he just didn't look like he belonged whatsoever. And he got knocked out by a guy who doesn't get very many knockouts. It's just like, I don't know. And not only that, all his both of his losses have been by knockout, and that's kind of Denat Batgirl's bread and butter. He's coming in there for that knockout. And it's not even just that he's a knockout artist. I do think there's some good technique behind his striking, much better than Kevin Natividad's. And I just feel like, yeah, man. Like another thing about Batgarel, his fight against Haile Alatang, which was his debut, I thought that was a really fucking close fight that could have gone either way for sure. But seems like Batgarel's getting better every time. I think he looks even better here. I think he's going to be the one to get his game going. And if you're getting your game going against a guy in Natividad, I mean, like I said, both of his losses are by knockout. That's Batgarel's bread and butter. I just feel like if he starts putting it on Natividad, he's going to find a finish, whether it be a knockout or if he rocks him and catches a sub. He's done that in the past too. I put 2 units on Dana Batgarel wins this fight inside the distance at plus 200. Wasn't a big fan of the minus 180. I thought it was kind of accurate, but when you think about his path to victory and the fact that 100% of Natividad's losses are by knockout, I think that plus 200 on Batgarel inside the distance should be more like plus 150 or even plus 125. So at plus 200, that's a nice prop. Give me Dana Batgarel to win this fight inside the distance. Moving on to the next one. This is another bet I have here and some more big odds. So we got Pat Sabatini. He's about minus 250 taking on Tristan Connolly. So the money's coming on Connolly. Connolly now only plus 180. So I put 2 units on Tristan Connolly at plus 210. I thought that line was a little bit ridiculous. And Speaking of ridiculous, Tristan Connolly actually opened up the favorite in this fight. I believe minus 145 in some places, minus 125 in some places, and all the public action came in on Sabatini, and now you see it kind of coming back in on Connolly. So I think I caught that Tristan Connolly line right at the right time, but the reality is I'm not crazy confident about this bet. It's just more of it's a really close fight, and one guy's plus 210, so let's fucking go, right? So obviously we haven't seen Lee fight in a while, but man, like we definitely could learn a lot at Michelle Pereira fight. Like, say whatever you want about the stunts Michelle Pereira pulled in that fight, all the backflips and everything he was doing. Which, firstly, I mean, that was nothing new. He was doing that his entire career. He was doing the same shit against Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. He's still stiffened Hot Chocolate Roberts. Like, you got to give Tristan Connolly some credit for like his toughness, his durability, his sub defense. I mean, he was stuffing takedowns there too. Like, he even got on top. Like, Michelle Pereira is a fucking giant, guys. At 170, he's a guy who should arguably fighting at 185. And now Connolly's moving down here to 145 for the first time in his career. You look at the kind of shape this guy is in. He's in very good shape. He doesn't look 35. Let me just tell you that right now. I think he's going to have no problems with this cut. Looks phenomenal. And going to be a big boy at 145, man. So on the other side with Sabatini, like, of course, what you see on tape, it looks nice. Like, he's taking these guys down, he's taking their backs, he's getting a lot of subs. He's got decent power on the feet. Like, it looks good in theory, but these guys he's fighting, there's just no resistance whatsoever. And I feel like with Tristan Connolly, like he's going to be the opposite of that. This guy is tough as nails. He doesn't just accept bottom. Like, he's a fighter. He's going to fight for your money. And at plus 210, like, I mean, if he stuffs the striking battle, it's like this shit's gonna play out really fucking close. I feel like as the fight goes on, like maybe Connolly can land takedowns of his own. I mean, these guys are both black belts. This is a close fucking fight. Like, I gotta give Sabatini, like, obviously the youth advantage. He's the better athlete. He's more explosive. He's probably stronger. But yeah, man, this is just close. I think the line's completely off. Honestly, like, I don't even know why the bookies opened Connolly the favorite. I thought that was off too. So it's somewhere in the middle for me. Like, I think you got to cap Sabatini like maybe minus 150 here, like 60%, but the 75 percent indication on Sabatini right now, that's just off to me, man. I'm gonna pull the trigger on Tristan Connolly, which I did, 2 units plus 210, and yeah, let's fucking go. So moving on to the next fight. This is what I almost pulled the trigger on, but I decided not to. So we got Brendan Allen minus 145. He's taking on Carl Baby K Roberson. Yeah, man. I mean, at first this fight kind of just screamed to me, yeah, I mean, fucking Brendan Allen's gonna take this guy down and expose his ground game that, I mean, there's a lack of for sure. And that's how Roberson loses, man. Doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. Doesn't have the greatest sub defense. Like, his bottom game's not great. It's not pretty down there. But there's a couple worries. Worry number one being, I mean, Brendan Allen didn't shoot once against Sean Strickland last fight, and we saw how that went. He got smoked, and he is fighting a good striker here in Carl Roberson. So it's tough, man. And another thing, like, Roberson's a guy who, I mean, he's got a lot of fights in the UFC now. I feel like he's getting a little bit more comfortable in there. And I mean, dude, if he stuffs takedowns, like, Brendan Allen's not going to win this fight on the feet. So it's just going to become very, very close. Not only that, if Brendan Allen isn't able to find the neck, get the sub, and like, we're talking a fight where it's 2.5 minutes on the feet and Roberson's out striking him versus the other 2.5 minutes where Brendan Allen takes him down but doesn't do much with it. I mean, there's totally a chance the judges give that round to Roberson, and we're just looking at a close fight for where Roberson wins. So honestly, man, at first I was looking at Allen. Now I kind of feel like there might be value on the dog, but all in all, I think the line's probably about right at Brendan Allen minus 150-ish, 60%. Feel like that's fair. I mean, dude, if he's smart and like comes out aggressively wrestling, like, he probably wins this fight maybe 7, 10 out of 10 times. So like, I get why, my boy Justin, he's on Brendan Allen. Like, I get it. I'm just happy to kind of sit back and see what happens, to be honest. So I'll go with Brendan Allen to I'll say he does find that neck and sub him, but it's one I'm happy to pass on. Next fight we got Dwight Grant. He is no, he's minus 230 now. Taking on Stefan Sekulic. He is plus 180. Actually, some money's coming in on Dwight Grant, or some money's coming in on Sekulic. Sekulic plus 179, Dwight Grant minus 9. Um, yeah, this is a weird one. Like, I could never pull the trigger on Dwight Grant in the minus 200s just because his style, he's so low volume. Like, if he doesn't knock you out, you're about to get a very, very close decision. And in the past, that's bit him in the ass. You look at the Zach Otto fight. Like, if he just would have threw a little bit more, he probably would have won that fight. Even the Allen Joe, it's like, I mean, he deserved to get his arm raised in that Joe Band fight, but like, dude, he almost let it slip away from him. He should win this one though. This is a step down, and Sekulic, like Sekulic just has the one UFC fight so far against Ramazan Ameev, went the distance with Ameev, but like he did get dropped and hurt in that first round, guys, and like Ameev's not a finisher, so this guy, Dwight Grant, is a finisher. If he's able to put some power on Sekulic, I'm not sure if he survives the way he survived against Ramazan Ameev. That being said, if he does survive, like if we get a situation like Dwight Grant versus D-Rod, where Dwight Grant rocks D-Rod, he goes in for the finish, doesn't get it, completely gassed. If we get a situation where Sekulic survives, I mean, Sekulic is a lucha. He's a luta libre black belt, which is kind of like jujitsu. It's like it's like wrestling jujitsu. But anyway, like, and I've seen it in the tape as well. He can land takedowns. He can grapple, and I feel like if maybe we get a situation like that where we get into the second round, he kind of overcomes the heat from Dwight Grant early. Maybe he takes over with some takedowns and wins the decision, or even gets a sub. So, yes, I think Sekulic might be live Dwight Grant to probably get a first round knockout here. So moving on to the next fight, we got here we go. We got Randy Brown. He's taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Randy Brown, he is a minus 140 favorite, taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira plus 125. Good fight. I believe it is a rebooking. Man, I'm just impressed with the career turnaround with Randy Brown. Remember, he came into the UFC off the looking for a fight thing, and like all the guys that were coming into the UFC from Dana White looking for a fight, they were all kind of shit in the bed, and everyone was just like writing off those guys, saying which job Dana. People were calling it Dana White's looking for a jobber just at one point, just because of how bad those guys were doing, Randy Brown included. I mean, he was getting taken down by complete bums like Augusto Montano and shit. Like, his early UFC career was not good. Like, even the Mickey Gall fight, like there were some sketch moments in that fight. But this guy has he's come along. He's evolved, in my opinion. That Brian Barberina performance was one of the most unreal performances that I watched on tape for this card. He looked so good. He used his length. He showed power. Like, he looked like a legit ass top 10, top 15 guy. The Worley Alves fight, and started off a little shaky, but Worley gassed. He did his thing. He got the finish in the second round against Worley Alves. Next fight after that, Vicente Luque. Like, guys, Vicente Luque, one of the most badass motherfuckers in the sport. And Randy Brown was giving him a good fight, man. Like, really, really good fight. He even took Luque down at one point, but you know how hard Luque hits, and he can get anybody on any given night. So yeah, I don't think that was a bad performance for Randy Brown. It was just like he ran into a top guy who was the better man that night. Now he's taking a step down. He's taking on Alex Cowboy Oliveira, who, guys, I mean, every single time this guy has a fight, I bring it up. Like, I don't like where his career is headed. Like, I just think he's looked like a shell of himself for a while now. And I think some people forgot just because he had a couple wins, like the Max Griffin fight, which, by the way, very fair, very close fight, kind of a bad fight where neither guy looked great, where you could have scored that fight for the other guy, Max Griffin. And Peter Sabota. Peter Sabota was coming off this long ass layoff, looked like a shell of himself as well. Not good. Now Cowboy just kind of, picked him apart, did his thing for 3 rounds. Now he's fighting a guy, in my opinion, who isn't in his prime, and Randy Brown. Not only that, guys, like, I don't want to bring up personal lives or anything, but like when we're betting these fights, like, yeah, you got to account some shit in. Like Alex Cowboy Oliveira, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard he has like 7 or 8 fucking kids with like 7 different women. I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't even have one kid, but like I can't even imagine the personal like stress that would take out on me. And like he had some legal issues at one point as well. Like, I don't know, man. And he hasn't really looked the same since like all this shit surfaced. And I don't know, man. I feel like we got a guy in Cowboy who might be showing up for paychecks at this point versus a guy in Randy Brown who's really evolved, come into it his own. He's huge for the weight class. He's 6'3". He's got the sub skills. He's got the striking skills. I think the first round could be a little scary. Like, I got to be worried about Cowboy's power. I got to be worried about Cowboy's takedowns early, but I think as this fight goes on, Randy Brown's going to take over, put it on him, possibly finish him late. I could see a sub or a knockout, or I could see a 29-28 unanimous decision, rounds 2 and 3. And Randy Brown is indeed my fourth and final bet. So I have 3 units on Randy Brown at minus 145 to win a little over 2 units. And I'm going to say he gets it done by a finish. I don't know if it's a sub or a knockout, but I'll say finish late second round. So moving on to the main card, we are here. Anthony Lionheart Smith, he's plus 170, taking on Jimmy the Brute Crute, minus 200. I moved in on Jimmy Crute, so I have a 3-leg parlay card, including 2 champions, and then Jimmy Crute as the third leg. Got him at minus 190. I love this fight for Crute, man. This is kind of another fight where I feel like you got a guy in his prime coming into his own, although he hasn't been in the UFC as long as Randy Brown, but you get what I'm saying. Like a younger guy, definitely turning, a corner for sure. Like, kind of, people were kind of writing off Jimmy, not really writing him off, but kind of down on him after the Misha Cirkunov sub loss. Like, yeah, it was kind of a bad look and all that, but man, he bounced back like a motherfucker. Like, he's got the striking skills, he's got the jiu-jitsu, BJJ, he can wrestle, powerful, technique. Like, Jimmy Crute's everything you want in a prospect for sure. And like, I kind of like the fact that he took that loss to Misha Cirkunov. Like, he learned a lesson in that fight for sure. And a lot of these guys, sometimes they just need to take their first UFC L, and it makes the world's difference. And I like that he's already had that. Like, if not, this could be the situation where he takes that first UFC L to a vet. But man, Anthony Smith. So, man, I bet Anthony Smith on Glover Teixeira. What was that, like a year and a half, 2 years ago? Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on him, haven't changed. It's just like what transpired that night, like, completely altered how I see him, because like before that fight, we kind of knew Anthony Smith as a guy who would take the ass beating up front and come back late in fights. He was like a comeback guy, known as like a really good cardio guy. In that Glover fight, he came out really fucking strong, wanted to make a statement, used a lot of energy, used a lot of movement on Glover, outstruck him, looked great in that first round. And then we saw something we had never seen before. And that's he completely gassed out against Glover Teixeira. And Glover Teixeira did his thing, beat his ass. Like, really uncomfortable to watch the amount of damage he took in that fight. I believe he got some teeth knocked out of him, some severe concussions, like bad, bad, bad. And then he comes back against Alexander Rakic, somewhat looks like a shell of himself, not good at all. And then he gets Devin Clark, and it's like, guys, how many times has Devin Clark been caught before, whether it be a sub or a knockout? It's like, whatever. You sub Devin Clark, awesome. I'll tell you what you're not going to do. You're not going to sub Jimmy Crute in this fight, in my opinion. I know people will say he got subbed by Misha Cirkunov, and yeah, he did. Awesome. But A, I say he learned his lesson. B, I think Misha Cirkunov is a more dangerous sub artist than Anthony Smith. But that being said, I mean, if Anthony Smith gets the back or gets the mount, like, anything can happen in this sport. But man, I think this is Jimmy Crute's time to shine. I think he comes out here, lights Lionheart up. Lights. Wow, that's kind of a tongue twister. Lights Lionheart up on the feet, takes him down, does his thing. I don't know if it's a decision. I don't know if it's a finish. I'll lean finish. That's the way the bookmakers are saying he gets it done. I just need a win. So yeah, Jimmy Crute in a 3-leg parlay. Moving on to the next fight. Chris Weidman, Uriah Hall. I think the right guy's favorite here. I think Chris Weidman definitely should be the favorite. And I'm going to pick him to come out here and beat Uriah Hall. I think the wrestling will get it done for him. The thing is, like if I were to bet this fight, so let's look at the lines for this fight. Like Chris Weidman, I don't want to paste juice on Chris Weidman. How many fights has he lost in his last 8? The chin, yada yada. Don't want to pay juice on Weidman. I don't want to pay the decision prop on Weidman either, because guess what? I'm not going to be surprised if he finishes Uriah Hall. You know, he could take that back and sub him, or you know, he knocked him out the last time they fought each other. This is a rematch, by the way. And, you know, Uriah Hall's been knocked out a couple times before, so like, I don't want to take a specific stance on Weidman. I don't want to bet him straight. Uriah Hall plus 110 isn't really enough. But when I think about it, Uriah Hall's really only path to victory here is by knockout, probably. And the knockout prop, let's see if it's still the line I saw it at. So Uriah Hall by knockout plus 205. If Uriah Hall wins this fight, it's going to be by knockout. I think even though I'm picking Chris Weidman, the best bet to make here is probably Uriah Hall plus 205 to win by knockout. So yeah, that's kind of the way I view this fight. Like, there's not much technical analysis to get into with this fight because we kind of know what both guys bring to the table for sure. Like, we all know Uriah Hall's not the best fighter in the world. He's just one of the most dangerous, and he gets some opportunistic finishes, especially late in fights. And of course, Chris Weidman's a guy who's chinny now. He's kind of deteriorating. His gas tank is not great these days. So it's just kind of a messy fight. I think if there was any way to play, it'd be the Uriah Hall by KO. But I'm going to say Weidman gets this done by decision. We'll see what happens. So moving on, we are at the 3 title fights. First one, we got the UFC Flyweight Championship, Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jessica Andrade. Valentina Shevchenko minus 450, Andrade plus 350. I got Valentina in that 3-leg parlay with Jimmy Crute. I think this is a great fight for her. We've seen Andrade struggle with technical strikers in the past. Now she's jumping up here to 125 where they hit even harder. I got Valentina by TKO here. I think she just pieces up Jessica Andrade, and eventually the damage is going to add up. She's going to put her away. I mean, shit, it could even be early. I don't know. We'll see. Valentina's just so good. I don't know what to expect from her. I mean, she could probably finish this fight any way she wants, and that's not to disrespect Jessica Andrade. You know, she's one of the better women MMA fighters ever for sure, but Valentina's like that GOAT status, like that legend status, because this girl is just so good everywhere. Yes, I know she lost a round to Jessica Maia. Oh my gosh, guys. She lost a round in an MMA fight. Call the cops. Holy shit. Big fucking whoop. She made adjustments. She dominated Jennifer Maia the rest of that fight. And that's the thing. Like, it's just not the technique. Like, she's smart too. Like, she knows what she needs to do. She knows how to make adjustments. Fucking arguably won the Amanda Nunes rematch. Like, I mean, this girl's fucking beating everybody except for the 135 and 145 pound champion and Amanda Nunes. Like, pound for pound, if you want to make the argument Valentina's the best women's MMA fighter in the world, like, I wouldn't hate that argument at all just because she lost to Nunes. Like, I mean, let's be honest, Valentina is a 125er, and she was basically jumping up a weight class to 135. She beat some elite 135ers when she was up there too, like Holly Holm. Like, I mean, Valentina's an all-time fucking great, guys. And the fact that she's down here at 125, these girls, I mean, some of these girls can't take the power like the 135ers did. Like, we saw what happened to Jessica I mean, we saw what happened to Chukagian. Like, she runs through these girls at 125, and Jessica Andrade, like, she's just going to be so outsized. Valentina is going to have all that distance to work with in the big cage. That's another thing. I didn't even mention it. Guys, we get the first card back with a crowd, so that's going to be exciting for sure. It's in Florida. It's in Jacksonville. It's about a 3 hour drive for me. I thought about going, but when I looked at ticket prices, like I was seeing fucking like some ridiculous like $700-800 per ticket, which if I would have gone, I would have been me and my girlfriend. So it's like, do I really want to pay $1,600 for two nosebleeds for me and my girlfriend when we could just pay $70 to watch it in the comfort of her home? Yeah, no, I'm just gonna fucking watch it at home. We'll wait till the ticket prices get a little better, but I saw some guys get some good tickets for like $300-400. It's like, where the fuck were you looking? I don't know where I was looking, but anyway, well, kind of got off track there. But I got Valentina Shevchenko. She probably can get this done wherever she wants. Like, if I think there's any kind of path for Andrade, yeah, she hits extremely hard, but we've never seen any kind of durability issues from Shevchenko. Yeah, Andrade is strong. She can get these slams, but it's like, unless she knocks Shevchenko out with a slam like she did versus Rose, like what's going to happen when these ladies hit the mat? Shevchenko, I feel like, has a really good bottom game and can give Andrade problems down there. So, yeah, I like Valentina wherever it goes. I got the champ to defend. Moving on to the strawweight title fight, we got Weili Zhang minus 205 taking on Rose Namajunas plus 175. A lot of talk about this fight with the all the political stuff. I won't really get into that. The only thing I'll say is Rose definitely probably should have kept some things to herself, but I don't know if it's going to make a big difference in the fight. So I decided to pass on this fight, even though I do kind of have Weili Zhang somewhat confidently. Um, I don't know, man. I've been wrong about Rose along in the past. Like, I had Watterson over Rose. She head kicked her into the third row. I had Joanna Jędrzejczyk in the first fight over Rose. Rose fucking took her head off. It's like, do I really want to bet against Rose again just for my fighter to get their head taken off again? I don't know. If I were to bet Zhang would probably get her head fucking taken off. But since I'm not betting Zhang, she's probably going to end up coming out here and beating Rose. Like, and I don't want to write Rose off because, like I said, like the chick has insane power. I mean, not just that, she's very technical. I mean, Rose is one of the best women MMA fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. Former champion. It's hard to kind of write her off, but then again, I do have to agree with the minus 200 line for the champion Zhang. Like, I just feel like it's going to be very hard for Rose to put this girl away. I feel like I don't know if she's going to be able to get takedowns. Weili Zhang is a strong wrestler. Looks like Weili Zhang can eat some fucking power. And if this fight goes 25 minutes, I just don't see Rose outpointing her or winning a war type fight. I just feel like as the fight goes on, Weili Zhang is just going to, put some power on her. And guys, if you go back and watch that Rose Namajunas versus Andrade rematch, like, yeah, Rose won. She won the first 2 rounds. She built up that lead. She lost the third round. She was getting beat up kind of good. And I'll tell you right now, if that was a 5 round fight, Jessica Andrade would have won the fourth and fifth round and beaten Rose Namajunas 48-47. But it wasn't a 5 round fight. It was a 3 round fight. But I'm just saying, Rose can be not broken, but she can I'm missing the word I'm looking, but she can be worn on. And I feel like that's what Weili Zhang's gonna do here. She's just gonna keep putting the pressure on and she's just gonna wear on Rose. And I feel like the rounds are gonna be close in the beginning, but as they go on, they're gonna get more and more clear for Weili Zhang. I'm gonna say Weili Zhang wins a 49-46 decision. But no action on this fight. So moving on to the main event of the evening, the rematch, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. Usman minus 140, Masvidal plus 330. I got Usman in that 3-leg parlay, so I got Usman, Shevchenko, and Jim Crute plus 145, 4 units. So that's a big one there. Yeah, man. I kind of touched on it at the top of the show. It's people are making it out like, yeah, Usman, he took the fight on 6 days notice last time, cut 20 pounds in 6 days, but it's like, yeah, I mean, Kamaru Usman had 1 week to prepare for Jorge Masvidal too. Like, I know he was already in camp getting ready for Gilbert Burns, but like, guys, Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal are completely different fighters, and that kind of messes with the mind. So it's like Kamaru Usman had 6 days to prepare for Jorge Masvidal as well. So I wouldn't look too much into that. Like, yeah, it's great that Masvidal has a full camp this time, but will it really make a difference? We've seen this guy fight what fucking 30 times between Strikeforce and UFC. We know what he's about. We know what he does. We know that most likely he needs a knockout here. That's really his path to victory. I seriously doubt he's able to outpoint Usman over the course of 25 minutes. Not going to get a sub. He probably needs a knockout. And, he landed some good ones in that first fight early, but it's like, Usman's super durable. Like, we even saw in that Gilbert Burns fight. Gilbert Burns hit Usman with the fucking best punch in his arsenal, rocks Usman. Usman recovers literally immediately. Like, I'm talking like insane recovery. It's just ridiculous. This guy is very fucking durable. So I view Masvidal knocking him out as insanely low percentage. Like, I feel like oh man, like I don't want to get too disrespectful here, but I almost feel like minus 430 is a gift. Like, and we just saw these guys fight. Like, if you really want to use the 6-day narrative, like, yeah, sure, I guess, but guys, this is the most confident pick on the card for me. Like, I'm not, you won't see me going against this guy, Usman. He's on his way to reaching a GSP type resume when it comes to the title defenses. Like, I have a hard time seeing a guy beat him at welterweight. He's just way too good of a wrestler, way too like durable. Cardio's there. His striking's coming a long way. That jab's amazing. He's got power. He's finally starting to, know how to use that power. The reach, great frame for the division. I mean, this guy, in my opinion, is on his way to a hell of a legacy. And I will be shocked. I'm telling you, I will be shocked if Masvidal wins this fight. Like, mind blown shock. Like, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey shock, Matt Serra, GSP shock. Yes, I do think it would be that big of an upset. So that's it, guys. I got Usman. As far as a decision or finish, I mean, Masvidal's a tough motherfucker. It'd be hard for me to say he gets finished in this fight. So I'm going to say Usman wins a unanimous decision again. Got through that card. Poke through DK real quick and kind of point out some of my favorite DK plays for this card. I know obviously you're going to be looking at Shevchenko and Usman as the most expensive fighters on the slate, and if I had to choose between one of the two, I'd probably go Usman. You look at his score in the first Masvidal fight, 156.3. He has, he's only scored less than 100 points in a 5-round fight once, and that was Damian Maia. But a lot of Damian Maia fights kind of play out, low action. So that's kind of an anomaly. Usman's score, let me tell you, Usman is a guaranteed good score. Shevchenko, on the other hand, some of these title fight victories, some of these scores, 85 against Chukagian, even in a finish, 74 against Carmouche. It's like, yeah, it's not the greatest. So I kind of feel like if she doesn't finish Andrade, it could be a 70, 80 point score, and you won't need her at the whatever the fuck she is, 9,500. She's even more expensive than Usman, for fuck's sakes. Like, yeah, if you can get both into your lineup, great. Play them both, awesome. But if you had to pick between the two, I'd say Kamaru Usman. Then we're jumping down here to 9,200, Dwight Grant. Wouldn't hate anybody for playing Dwight Grant on Draftkings, because I feel like that first round knockout is a very live thing, especially if it comes in that first 30 seconds and he gets those extra 25 points. Like, that's a big deal. Zhu Rong. I don't know, man. He'll probably be pretty low owned, but I don't know. What's the inside the distance line on Mr. Zhu Rong? Let's see. Zhu Rong wins inside the distance, minus 115. Doesn't go to decision as minus 200. Guys, the bookies are saying this fight ends inside. They're also saying Zhu Rong wins inside the distance. If they're saying that happens about 52% of the time, I'm going to have to stick in at least a couple Zhu Rong lineups. We'll see about that one. It's probably going to be super low owned, too, just because nobody knows who the fuck he is. Wiley Zhang, 9,000. I don't know if you need to play her. So, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 5-round decision. 104 points. I mean, you think about how that fight went with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. You'd feel like she'd probably score more than 104 points, but no. So it's like if we get a fight here against Rose where it's much lower output than the Joanna fight, I mean I could see Weili Zhang putting up 70, 80 points in a decision here. She's done that in the past, so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate you for playing Weili Zhang on DraftKings, but I also don't think you need to. I would probably rather play this guy at 8,900, and that's Jimmy the Brute Crute, who's put up scores in his last two fights like 100.5 and 117.8. Anthony Smith, maybe there could be questions about the durability after all those unanswered blows to Glover Teixeira. So I don't know, man. Crute's a finisher. Aging, we could see a first round point explosion in that fight. I'm gonna be playing some Jimmy the Brute Crute on DraftKings. Sabatini, not really interested in Sabatini because I just feel like that's gonna end up being a close split decision type fight. Randy Brown 8,700 on DraftKings. I have a bet on Randy Brown, but do I think he's gonna score highly? I mean, I did pick him by second round finish, so that would be 70 points plus everything he accumulated earlier. So yeah, I mean, 8,700. I wouldn't hate you for playing Randy Brown. I'll probably stick a couple of them in there, but I also think this fight could easily go to decision too. Carnelossi 8,600. This Carnelossi versus the newcomer Chinese chick is being favored to end inside the distance by the odds makers, and I see why. You look at both their track records, a lot of finishes both ways. So I mean, yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is pay 8,600 on a chick in a low level fight. But I mean, if there's a chance she could finish, I think I got to stick her in at least a couple lineups. Dana Batgarel. I mean, I'm finishing him. I mean, I'm picking him to finish Natividad by knockout here. So yeah, 8,500. I'm in. Brendan Allen, all kinds of grappling upside with him at 8,400. I think that's good. Uriah Hall, 8,300. I mean, you could see Uriah Hall knock out Chris Weidman at any point in time, so I don't think that's a bad play in the mid-range. Molina versus Aori Quilang. This is a fight I'm going to stay away from on DraftKings. I feel like it goes to decision at a very high clip on this card where I can see tons of finishes. I'm totally staying away from it on DraftKings, even though it is a mid-range fight and we do like to target those. I'm not about it here. Chris Weidman, 7,900. I'm all about that. He's a 7,900 underdog that I'm picking to win the fight. I think he gets takedowns. So, yeah, I'm cool with Chris Weidman as a dog on DraftKings. I'm going to be playing him. Roberson, 7,800. I mean, yeah, I think he loses, but if he wins, could knock out Allen. So that's a decent dog to play. Natividad, I'm going to be staying away from him. I think he gets his ass knocked out. Nali Ang, I mean, Nali Yang could be one of these fighters nobody knows about and ends up winning somebody fucking $200,000. Like if she comes out here and gets a finish, so it's like maybe I'll stick her in one lineup just because she's a dog that could win. She'll be low owned. It's kind of a contrarian play. Cowboy Oliveira, I'll be staying away from him. I got my boy Randy Brown in that fight. Tristan Connolly, 7,400. Obviously, since I bet him as a plus 210 underdog, you bet your ass to be playing him on DraftKings as well. He will be in a lot of my lineups. I don't think he can score super high, but at 7,400, I mean, how high of a score do you really need? Anthony Smith, 7,300. I mean, I'll be staying away from him for the most part. I got my boy Jim Crute, Rose Namajunas, 7,200. I'll play a couple roses. I mean, this is a chick who knocked out some of the all-time greats. Yeah. Kazula Vargas, 7,100. I mean, he's fighting a newcomer, a 21-year-old Chinese kid, and he's 7,100 on DK. I mean, I feel like just by principle, I almost got to stick Vargas in a couple lineups, even though I do like Zhu Rong. I just feel like it's a matter of principle. Stefan Sekulic, 7,000. I mean, he's a $7,000 underdog on DraftKings that I feel like can win against a low volume guy in Dwight Grant. I feel like Sekulic can land takedowns, so that's not a bad DK punt at all at 7,000. And in fact, that's probably going to be the lowest price guy I'm actually going to pay for. Masvidal 6,800. You heard me, guys. I'm not about to fade my boy Usman, so staying away from Masvidal. Jessica Andrade, 6,700. I mean, it's not very often you'll see a $6,700 price tag on Andrade on DK, but it's for a good reason here, guys. She's fighting the GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko. So that's going to do it for me. I appreciate you very much for tuning in. It's appreciated as always. The early weigh-in podcast. I see you, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the fights on Saturday. It's going to be a hell of a card, man. So happy to see that fans are going to be back. It's going to be a real electric atmosphere. I'm so excited, man. So yeah, appreciate you guys. One thing I want to say, just because I don't know if I'm going to do a video before it happens, but go subscribe to my boy Justin, UFC Bro Picks on YouTube. If you guys are football fans, I might end up doing a NFL draft live stream with him, which would be a lot of fun. And he's my boy too. I show up on his podcast every once in a while, so go show him some love if you're not subscribed to him. And that's I think that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Y'all have a good night.